sponsored by Gillette Clear Gel. The Bears defense dominated the Rams in the nightcap. They picked off Jared Goff 4 times, sacked him 3 times, and held Todd Gurley to less than 60 total yards. Bears get the 15-6 win to improve to 9-4 in the season. See, what message did the Bears send to the NFL with their 15-6 defensive domination of the Rams?
Oh, we hadn't seen. This is the same type of message that Dallas sent a couple weeks ago. Because we know Kansas City, we know New Orleans, we know the Rams are in an elite class offensively. We know the type of fear that they have put into teams. And the Rams, not only this year, but last year, what they've done with Sean McVay. It's one of the most impressive, the second most impressive defensive performance. That Thursday night against the Saints was the best. This was the second best. But it lets us know, man, they're going to be around in that NFC North. Defense dominant on all 3 levels. The question is their quarterback going to be elite, or is he going to be a game manager?
How about this for a stat? The Chicago Bears this year already have more interceptions than they had in the previous 3 seasons combined. They have 25 picks this year. Over the last 3 years, they had 24. They are a ball-hawking defense to go along with Khalil Mack.
Nick, you can learn an awful lot from Sarah because you do realize that's her football team. But she's not putting herself into the storyline. All of her people, they've been cheering for the Bears. Man, that's their team. You see how she does that?
Yeah.
She's from Chicago. You're from Kansas City.
I haven't mentioned that all day. What are you talking about? You guys keep mentioning it. I'm sorry that you're...
yeah, your Bears are serious.
You brought up Monsters of the Midway.
Yeah, they can be in Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta.
I like it. On to the Steelers. They arrived in Oakland as 10-point favorites. They left as 3-point losers. Pittsburgh now 7-5-1 after their 3rd straight loss. Nick, what do you make of the Steelers' performance?
Total debacle. What an absolutely embarrassing performance from the running game throughout, from my guy Mike Tomlin, who butchered the clock at the end, from the defense where you have a 4-point lead on the Raiders with 2 minutes left. You can't hold the lead. Like, the kicking game, you forgot they got bad turf in Oakland?
Yep.
Like, the whole thing, this is how you go from 7-2-1 to potentially missing the playoffs. What an embarrassing loss for Pittsburgh.
I'm not going to overreact like I believe a lot of people are going to do. Well, no, I'm not going to. I don't believe you're overreacting. I'm not going to overreact and blame the coach.
Okay, sure.
All right? When I'm better than you as a player, a lot of that responsibility is on me to get myself fired up. When you see the Pittsburgh Steelers, when they play against the elite teams, they play well. You know why? Because they got a very, very good coach. When you get in games like this where you're the favorite, you can't expect the coach to be firing you up. You got to be able to bring your own energy. So this is on the Pittsburgh Steelers players. You got to be able to win a game like this in Oakland.
Moving on to one of the most improbable endings we have ever seen. The Dolphins scored on a miracle last-second play to beat the Patriots 34-33. And the most un-New England thing ever, they seemed unprepared for what the Dolphins did, including having Rob Gronkowski on the field for defense. Patriots have now lost 5 of 6 in Miami, and here is Kenyon Drake on his last-second touchdown.
I mean, honestly, I'm still sitting before y'all, and I still don't believe it. So I just saw it was Gronk in front of me, and I was just like, look, I got somewhere to be, so I had to get in the end zone. You know what I mean?
Every time we practice it, it's for the Hail Mary, but got to be ready for anything. It's football, and just the way it ended, I mean, it sucked. I mean, never really been a part of anything like that. I feel like it's going to test our character big time, how we bounce back from something like that, and just got to make that tackle.
See, take us through that. What happened on the final play?
I haven't heard. Well, I haven't seen a play like that in the NFL to be able to win a game, but I haven't been on television or listened to some type of press conference where a New England player said that they weren't aware of any type of game situation. Because we give New England credit for a lot of things. And managing in-game situation is the #1 thing. Mistakes, turnovers, those are the things that follow after that. But as far as being buttoned up, and we used to call it the coach, they have you prepare for so many things. So we used to say extra point after a hurricane. It's because they're prepared for everything. Like, that's not going to happen. But if it was going to happen, a New England team would be, they would be prepared for it. So I was shocked that Rob Gronkowski, because after talking to Mangini, Coach Mangini believes that the team had gone through drills to prep him for a play like that, because what Belichick has seen over his years, and he's been on staffs that he prepped the team for plays like that. But Gronk wasn't involved. So when they did practice these things, either Gronk was hurt or either absent. So I'm shocked by it. I would have had Josh Gordon. When Belichick used to use Randy Moss, not only for the jump balls, but you want a more athletic guy, not a lumber. What if they're going to throw a Hail Mary and you think they're going to throw it to the left, but they decide to throw it to the right? I want a guy who's more athletic and has a higher vertical leap to be able to get up there to be able to knock it down. So that part was shocking to me.
And what about this? They're 71 yards away from the end zone. They're not going to throw a Hail Mary. What about having your best defensive player for the last half decade out there? What about just putting Devin McCourty out there? What about just saying
most consistent, most dependable, and one of the best tacklers in the NFL?
Yeah, what about just saying we don't think the Dolphins can score against our regular defense? How about that? And like, there's that. This was the Patriots lost a game where they blocked 2 punts. You know how impossible that is? Like, this was, Brady had a mental gaffe before the half that cost him 3 points.
That was a huge play.
He takes a sack, and it was shocking to see him take the sack, but it was more shocking after the game when he said, "Oh, I thought we had a timeout." Really? Brady wasn't aware of the time score situation here, that the only thing you can't do is take a sack. That's 3 points off the board. The fact that they seemingly clinched the game with a kind of ticky-tack pass interference call on Josh Gordon to get him down near the goal line. They can't punch it in, which is what put them in that situation. The only thing not surprising about this game, is it was on the road and the Patriots weren't very good. Like that, the Patriots now this year, on the road, we can go through it now. Blowout loss to the Jags.
So you just believe it's more than a Miami thing. You're willing to accept, yeah, they struggle in Miami, but it's...
I think in 2018, the New England Patriots are an average team at best on the road. Okay. And I think I have the evidence to prove it. They got blown out by the Jags, they got blown out by the Lions, they got blown out by the Titans, they lost to the Dolphins. You can say I was on a fluke. They were in position where a fluke could beat them. There are other road games that I've seen this year. They were tied in late third quarter against the Jets off a bye.
Yep.
It was a 3-point game late third quarter against the Bills. They needed 2 special team scores to beat Chicago.
And anyone around the NFL will tell you that's a fluke. You are not going to get what those plays that they got in that Chicago game. So, you know, these things work themselves out. I don't expect to see that type of hook and ladder play in the NFL be successful again, but the way they won that Bears game too.
Right. They got some help with some other teams losing yesterday as well. But big picture, what's the magnitude of this loss for the Patriots?
For me, it further confirms that no one should expect this team to go on the road in the postseason and win even one game. But because of your point, Steelers lost. Colts came back and beat the Texans, dominated them after falling down 7-0. They are positioned very well to be the 2 seed. They didn't lose any ground in the race for the 2 seed. The 2 best teams in the AFC, record-wise, are in the same division in Kansas City and the Chargers, and because of that, only one of those teams can be the 1. The other team's going to have to be the 5.
Right, so it's not only a story of them going on the road this year, but the Patriot way, man, the Patriot way is not to win an AFC championship on the road. They haven't done that. They have not gotten to the Super Bowl that way. They have not been a champion that way. So, yes, it's not only what their recent history is, but the way they've developed these teams, man, going to Gillette in January has been lethal. It's been kryptonite basically to the rest of the NFL. One other time, Ray Rice in Baltimore. They went up there and won one time, but for the rest of the NFL, it's not going to happen. So we're going to be able to take a snapshot not only of this season, how it plays into the postseason. Man, that Kansas City team, I mean, that team don't want to go to Kansas City.
And listen, while they didn't lose ground on securing a bye and being the 2 seed, they lost enormous ground in that Chiefs game. With 2 minutes left in both these games, looked like the Pats were going to win, Chiefs were going to lose, and neither went that way.
And it's how they match up. If Pittsburgh was the number 1 seed, I wouldn't be have as much as trepidation because, they dominate Pittsburgh. They match up well against Pittsburgh. They don't match up well against Kansas City, and they definitely wouldn't match up on that field, which I believe Kansas City's speed would be enhanced on that field going against a New England defense that is not fast.
All right, speaking of Kansas City, let's talk Chiefs and Ravens. Lamar Jackson heading into Arrowhead to take on Patrick Mahomes, 4th quarter. And the Ravens were up 7. It's 4th and 9. And Mahomes heaves one up in desperation and has his pat caught by Tyreek Hill. That's